the result we were looking for by any stretch of the imagination. I knew that team was a very good football team that had players that could make plays, and that's just not good enough. We were not good enough as a coaching staff. We weren't good enough as a defense, offense, or special teams. And obviously, the buck starts with me. We've got to do a better job getting these guys prepared. At the end of the day, if you allow them to consistently complete vertical passes, it's going to be impossible to stay off the to stay off the field. Where we just did not do a great job in a number of areas, but I do know that this group is very resilient. Obviously the quarterback situation wasn't ideal whenever you're playing your backup quarterback. I thought Jack did some good things, but he did not do a great job taking care of the football. And again, that's something that we've got to do a better job as a staff, putting him in position to take care of the football, putting him in position to make some things happen that are easy for him. So I know that we've still got 6 conference games left. Our goal is to go 6-0 on the rest of this season and look back at this as a distant memory, because obviously this is a pretty painful one at the moment. So open it up to you guys for any questions.
Yeah, Coach, with this loss, it makes it 3 losses in a row.
Yep.
What are you going to do to stop this slide and get your momentum back?
Well, the only thing we can do is get back to work, right? We need to really do a deep dive intrinsically. I thought we did a great job of that in the bye week, but obviously it wasn't good enough. And, obviously our players I know that they will do the same. Take a look at the things that they can control, what we can really get better at, and execute it. We did not execute at a high enough level to win this football game. And whenever you're playing anybody in this league, especially teams like Northern Colorado that have talent, you have to play your best, and we were nowhere near that today.
I know everything about this must be disappointing, but you guys went into the fourth quarter down 10 in what was still a winnable game, and it seemed like how you responded in that fourth quarter might determine where you guys are at the current state of your team. That's really got to be disappointing what happened in that quarter.
Well, yeah, certainly a lot of it was disappointing. I think there was more disappointment happening in the first half. We just did not do a great job staying on top of routes. We knew this team was a vertical passing team, and we just didn't make plays when the ball was in the air. When it was a 50-50 ball, it was not 50-50. Those guys made plays. Their receiver number 3 is a very good player. Number 1 is a good player. And those guys made the plays that we did not make. And so I'm very proud of our team for fighting back. Anytime you're down by 3 scores at halftime, you come out, you go score, right? You go stop them, and then you have a chance, right? You're in the game. So obviously it was very disappointing to not be able to finish that in the fourth quarter.
Coach, the offense still putting up 33 points. Albeit the turnovers with the backup quarterback, still respectable score line with that. But the defense giving up 49, especially at home, and breaking the win streak. What does it sort of feel like to see that, to see the box score, watch through the game of the defense not being able to do that and leaving this with a loss at home? Yeah,
it hurts. It hurts. We had been so successful at home, and we had played well at home on defense, and a lot of, in our previous game that we played versus Utah Tech. And right now, our defense has just got to find our way. We've got to find what our guys are the best at and make sure that we can put them in a position to be successful. But honestly, it does not matter what you call. You can call zone, man, doesn't matter. If you're getting beat vertically by just guys flat out winning the one-on-one matchup, it doesn't matter what you call, right? We've got to do a better job winning our one-on-one matchups, and we're to continue to work those guys to make sure that they can do that in a week from now.
Coach, on offense, you guys were 4 of 12 on third down conversions. Was that just because you guys were putting yourselves in a hole on first and second down, or was it something that their defense was doing against you guys? What was it?
No, I think part of it was us, right? When you have third and long, it's tougher to convert. Part of it was we just didn't make the throw. We had some guys open. We had guys that had opportunities, but we just couldn't get them the ball. We've been much better on third down, and today we were not. We were just not good enough in a lot of areas, and third down is included. But a lot of that, again, was just not connecting on throws and not seeing the open guys in a lot of situations. But, again, those are things that sometimes happen when you have a number 2 quarterback. But I know Jack is a guy that's very capable, and I know he'll look at that tape and he'll want some of those throws back for sure, especially on third down.
Coach, is there a timetable for when Joshua Wood might come back, or Do we have maybe an update maybe on him?
I mean, he's stronger. I mean, he ran around a little bit last week. He's throwing. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that he's available and healthy. The last thing I want to do with any of our players is put him out there to further risk of injury. We're hopeful to have him back a week from now, but we won't know until we get a little bit further in the week.
Coach, Rocco had an excellent game today. How do you feel about what you saw from him?
Rocco is a winner. I've gotten to know Rocco really well. I was one of the coaches that actually recruited him to come here to the University of Idaho. And one thing I do know about Rocco is he's a winner. He's a guy that's very driven. He wants to help this football team in any way he can. And I do think he provides a lot in terms of his legs. He can really run the football. He really gives us a +1 in the run game. And he did a really nice job tonight. I could see his role continue to expand. And again, I think Rocco's just a flat-out winner, and you got to see some of that tonight.
No Art Williams today, and you guys still had 203 yards on the ground. I mean, despite the result, what do you say about the fact that you guys are still able to be consistent on the ground?
I mean, our offensive line is really good. We have one of the best offensive lines in this conference, and at the end of the day, we've just got to make more plays in our passing game. We've got to connect on some third downs and find ways to move the chains when it's not just running the football. But very happy with that group. I think they're very consistent. We're averaging right around 200 yards a game on the ground. But again, when you turn the football over, those yardage they don't mean anything, right? It's just kind of extra calories. I know one of my colleagues in this league said that once, but that's kind of what it is. If you're turning the ball over, all those yards don't really matter, right? And we turned the ball over, I believe, 3 times today. So we've got to improve on our ball security in a major way, and we've got to make it happen fast.
It looked like in the second half especially, you guys had a pretty good rhythm going, alternating the quarterbacks. It seemed like you found something that worked pretty well in the way they alternated.
Yeah, no doubt. Really it was a lot of the situational football where we're out on the field. But I think with Joshua being out, we needed a little bit of additional run game stuff, and that was where Rocco really came in. And I thought Coach Linehan did a good job with that rhythm, especially in the second half, getting Rocco more involved. And that's something that obviously we'll continue to do as we move through the season, because I do think Rocco has a great value for our offense.
Coach, UNC was 8 of 13 on third down, threw for 350 yards, and was 5 of 6 in the red zone. What went wrong defensively? Was it pressure? Was it coverage? What do you think? Do you think it was a mixture?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture of both, right? If you're not able to cover, it's harder to get there because the quarterback can get the ball out. And then on the same token, if you're not getting to the passer and he's able to create extra time, well, that's harder to cover for that long. So it really was a combination of both. We really got to do a much better job of preparing a plan to get after the passer. And we got to do a much better job of just staying on top of routes. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter what coverage you call. If you get beat one-on-one on vertical routes, none of those calls are good. And that really was what I thought was the driver of our defensive struggles today, is just not being able to stay on top of vertical routes.
Final question here, Coach, is you guys did lead in rushing. You had 43 carries, 203 yards. You led time to possession 34-13 to 26-47. But I do got to ask, do you think that running in a shootout game like this is a little bit more negative and positive sometimes?
No, because at the end of the day, you got to move the ball how we can. And our passing game, it wasn't like we were just going to be able to go drop back pass for 40 or 50 reps, right? They did a good job with their pass rush. I think they created 2 sacks, and we turned the ball over. And so I think for us, especially when we were down by 10 with, so much time left, our run-pass game was just really more of our game plan, and we really wanted to stick to that game plan for as long as we could.
Coach, leading up to the Eastern Washington game, is there anything you can do in practice this week to try to limit those explosive plays?
Yeah, I mean, we just got to do a better job with our technique, and we got to do a much better job playing the football in the air. That is where we really struggled. Even on the last go ball that they completed, I don't know that the receiver even thought he was getting the ball. And the ball was all of a sudden on him, and we didn't find it, and he did. And so we've got to do a much better job working on our ball skills. I'm sure our coaches, all of our coaches are going to do a great job of looking at that tape and implementing individual drills, group drills that are going to help us get a lot better at that, because that ultimately was our demise on defense today, was just not being able to stop the vertical passing game. All right, thanks, guys.